The roar came first. A long, grinding roar that shook the cockpit and rattled the bones in Kade's chest. Warning lights flashed red across the panel. The ship bucked like a wild animal. He gripped the sticks and fought the spin. The horizon blurred. Clouds became fire. Gravity punched him down into the seat. "Come on, stay with me," he said. The ship did not listen. Metal screamed. A wing tore away. The nose dipped. The ground rushed up like a dark ocean. For a breath, there was only white light. Then silence. Kade woke face down in dust and ash. The air was heavy and wet. Something glowed nearby, a slow blue pulse like a sleeping heart. He rolled onto his back and coughed. Above him, a sky he did not know stretched in bands of violet and deep green. His ship lay broken behind him, a torn shell smoking in a crater of crushed ferns. He checked himself. Bruised. Shaken. Alive. He laughed once, short and sharp. Lucky again. The forest around the crash site breathed with strange life. Tall spirals rose like glass trees. Their leaves were thin and long, and each leaf carried a soft light. Blue spores drifted through the air and clung to his sleeves. The ground was springy under his boots, like a living sponge. Somewhere far off, something sang, low and mournful. Kade climbed the wreck and tried the comms. Dead. He tried the beacon. Nothing. He listened to the reactor core. A slow cooling hiss. No power left to call for help. No orbit. No ship. No plan. A rustle came from the edge of the clearing. He froze. The rustle turned to a whisper. The whisper turned to a shape. A figure stepped out from between the glowing trees. A woman. Or something close. Her skin held the blue of deep water. Her hair fell in silver waves over her shoulders. Her eyes were bright and careful, like a hunter's eyes. She carried a staff that hummed faintly, as if it felt the air around it. Kade lifted his hands, palms open. "I'm not here to harm anyone," he said. His voice sounded small in the wide forest. The woman looked at him without fear. "You fell from the sky," she said. Her words were clear. Her voice was calm. "You are alone." He nodded. For now. More figures appeared behind her. All were female. All had that same blue skin and steady gaze. Some wore bands of pale metal at the wrists. Some bore curved blades of transparent stone. They formed a half circle, and their glow brightened the clearing. "I am Nira," the first woman said. "Speaker for the Urali. This place is ours. You stand inside our warding ring." Kade glanced down. At his feet, faint symbols had been burned into the soil. Circles. Lines. Spirals that matched the trees. He swallowed. "I didn't mean to cross anything sacred. My ship that failed." Nira studied the broken hull. "It is wounded," she said, "like a great fish thrown on sand." "Can you help me get it back to water?" he asked. He tried to smile. It came out tired. Nira did not smile. "The forest decides who leaves," she said. "And the forest is hungry." The Urali parted, and Nira gestured for him to follow. Kade hesitated, then stepped forward. He had no food, no water, no way to call his fleet. Going with them was risk. Staying was slower risk. They moved through the trees in silence. The air grew warmer. The blue light spread along the trunks in thin veins. Insects drifted like tiny lanterns. At times, Kade felt the ground vibrate under his boots, as if something far below was turning in its sleep. They came to a rise. Beyond it lay a valley filled with soft glow. Houses like shells and flowers grew from the earth. Bridges like vines arched over small streams. At the center stood a crystal obelisk, tall as a tower, pulsing with that slow blue heartbeat. Nira stopped beside him. "Our home," she said. There was pride in the word. And worry. Kade pointed toward the crystal. "What is that?" "The loom," she said. "It holds our warmth. It binds our breath. Without it, the forest eats us." As they walked down into the village, Kade felt eyes on him. Curious eyes. Careful eyes. No fear. Not quite welcome. Many hands reached out to touch the cloth of his sleeve, the metal of his belt, the scar along his jaw. They whispered to each other in a lilting tongue that rose and fell like water. Kade kept his own voice steady. "I need a power source," he said to Nira. "Even a small one. I can wake my beacon. My people will come." Nira looked at him for a long moment. "Your people will not arrive before the forest answers," she said. "The loom weakens. It has been weakening for many cycles. We give what we can. It takes more each day." He did not understand. "You feed it." "In a way," she said, "but not with food." They reached the base of the crystal. Up close, Kade saw thin cracks running through it. Blue light leaked from the fractures like rain from broken stone. The pulse was no longer steady. It skipped. It stuttered. Nira placed her palm on the surface. The crystal brightened. Under her touch, then dimmed again. Her jaw tightened. She withdrew her hand and faced Kade. "You fell at a dangerous time," she said. "Perhaps at the only time that matters." A wind moved through the valley. The lights in the trees flickered. The loom's pulse faltered and came back weak. Somewhere, a child began to cry. The sound cut through the warm air. Kade looked from the crystal to Nira. "Tell me what you need," he said. Nira met his eyes. For the first time, he saw something like hope there. And something like fear. "We need a solution," she said. "Or we need a sacrifice." The crystal skipped again. The valley held its breath. Kade, too. Kade followed Nira deeper into the valley as the pale blue glow washed over his skin. The air was heavy, filled with a strange rhythm that seemed to pulse in time with the towering crystal at the center. Every few steps, he could hear faint whispers, like the forest itself was breathing words he couldn't quite understand. The Orali village looked alive. The houses were not built but grown, smooth domes of living stone, vines woven like muscle and bone. Thin threads of light ran along walls and floors, glowing brighter as he passed, as if the village itself were watching him. Children with shimmering eyes darted behind archways, giggling as they caught sight of the strange human. Older women whispered in their melodic language. Every sound seemed to hum with faint energy, as though the entire settlement shared one heartbeat. Nira walked ahead, tall and silent. Her silver hair caught the light, and for a moment Kade thought she was glowing from within. She led him toward a circular structure at the center of the settlement, half temple, half laboratory. The walls shimmered with fluid symbols, rearranging themselves as if they were alive. Inside, a table made of transparent crystal waited. On it rested a cluster of small blue shards, each pulsing faintly like dying stars. Nira placed a hand on them. "These are pieces of the loom," she said quietly. "Fragments we've taken to study, but the core continues to fade." Kade leaned closer, feeling a faint warmth from the shards. "This thing, it's more than just a power source, isn't it?" "It's our lifeline," Nira replied. "The loom connects every living Orali. It keeps the forest balanced and shields us from the rage beneath." "The rage beneath?" Nira hesitated. For the first time, he saw uncertainty flicker in her eyes. The forest has its own mind. When the loom weakens, it hungers. It takes back what it gave: soil, homes, even lives. We have lost too many already. Kade frowned. "Then maybe I can help stabilize it. I'm no scientist, but I've worked with plasma cores and bioreactors." "Maybe." "No," Nira interrupted, her tone sharp. "You don't understand. The loom doesn't run on metal or code. It feeds on what cannot be built." She pressed her hand to her chest. "It feeds on essence. Energy. Emotion." He blinked. "You mean life force?" She nodded slowly. "Every generation, we offer part of ourselves. Our emotions, our strength, our desire. But the cost has grown unbearable. Our men could not bear it. They vanished into the wilds long ago. The loom drains us faster now. It wants more." Kade rubbed his temples, trying to piece it all together. "So that's why there are no men here," he murmured. "They couldn't survive the process." Nira's expression tightened. "They fled," she corrected, her voice bitter. "They feared what they didn't understand. We stayed. We endured." Silence stretched between them, heavy and charged. The crystal walls of the chamber shimmered faintly, reflecting Nira's face from a dozen angles, proud, weary, and unyielding. Kade looked back at the glowing shards. "So this loom of yours, if it runs on life force, maybe it's not just taking. Maybe it can share." Nira's gaze snapped to him. "Share?" "Yeah," he said. "Energy transfer. In my ship, power flows both ways through a feedback link. Maybe the loom can return what it takes, balance the flow instead of draining it." She regarded him for a long time. "No outsider has ever offered to help us," she said finally. "Most who find us never live long enough to try." Kade shrugged lightly, masking the unease in his gut. "Guess I'm built different." A faint smile touched her lips. "Perhaps. But you should know, our ways are not gentle. To touch the loom is to feel it inside you. It tests you, weighs your truth, your strength. Many break." He looked toward the great crystal outside the window, its fading light flickering like a dying star. If it means saving a world, I'll take that chance. Nirax studied him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. You may regret those words, human. That night, Kade was given a small dwelling overlooking the glowing valley. From the doorway, he watched the Orali move in ritual patterns, singing, dancing, each motion glowing faintly with living energy. The air shimmered with beauty and danger. When Nirax came to him again, her face was lit by moonlight, her expression softer. Rest while you can, she said. Tomorrow, you will meet the loom face to face. Kade gave a weary smile. Sounds like I'll need a good night's sleep. Nirax paused at the threshold, her gaze unreadable. If you dream tonight, she said, listen carefully. Sometimes the loom whispers first to those it chooses. And with that, she disappeared into the glowing mist, leaving Kade alone under the alien sky, unsure if the hum he heard in the wind was the forest or the loom already calling his name. Kade didn't sleep easily. The bed beneath him pulsed faintly, as though the earth itself was breathing. Every time he closed his eyes, faint blue light seeped through his dreams, and the whispering hum of the loom crept into his mind like a soft wind. He dreamed of running water, of stars falling through fog, of voices, dozens, hundreds, calling his name. He couldn't understand the words, but the tone was pleading. A voice, distant yet familiar, rose above the others. We are fading, help us. He woke with a start. His skin was damp with sweat, and his heart pounded like a drum. For a long moment, he just sat there, staring at the faint glow seeping through the walls of his small room. The whispering hadn't stopped. It was softer now, like an echo trapped behind his ears. When he stepped outside, the entire village was awake. The Orali moved with a quiet urgency. Blue sparks drifted through the air, swirling toward the great crystal at the center of the valley. The loom was dimmer now, its light flickering weakly, as though it struggled to breathe. Nirax was waiting for him at the base of the steps. She wore a flowing robe of woven light that shimmered as she moved. Her expression was calm, but her eyes carried exhaustion. You heard it, didn't you? She asked. Kade hesitated. You mean the voice? The calling? She nodded slowly. The loom speaks to those it marks. It must have chosen you. I'm not sure chosen is the right word, he muttered. It sounded like a dying engine begging for a jumpstart. Despite herself, Nirax smiled faintly. You always speak in such strange ways. He shrugged. I'm a stranger in a strange world. She gestured toward the central platform. Then it is time you see the loom up close. You must understand what you are offering to help. They walked together through the village. The Orali parted silently as they passed, their luminous eyes tracking Kade with a mixture of hope and awe. It made him uneasy. He wasn't used to being anyone's savior, just a pilot, a man who fixed things. The closer they came to the loom, the stronger the hum grew. It resonated in his bones, in his heartbeat. The crystal towered above them like frozen lightning, cracks webbing through its surface. Blue energy pulsed weakly within, like a fading heartbeat. This is it, Nirax said softly. The heart of our world. Kade stepped forward, feeling static prickle over his skin. It's alive. Yes, she replied. It feels every emotion, every memory, every loss. When one of us dies, part of their essence returns to it. But the balance has broken. It takes more than it gives. Soon it will take everything. Kade circled the base, scanning it the way he would inspect a damaged power core. If this thing connects to every living being on your planet, then maybe it's reacting to your energy levels. Like overdraw. Overdraw. He pointed at a nearby conduit, a living vine that pulsed faintly with light. If too many of you give too much, the loom collapses under the weight. It's starving itself. Nirax frowned, thinking, you believe the loom can be stabilized? Maybe, but I'll need to understand its energy field. I need to feel how it reacts. Her expression grew serious. Then you must touch it. Kade hesitated. You said before it tests people, that it breaks them. It does, Nirax said. It will see your truth, everything you hide, everything you fear. The loom shows no mercy. He exhaled slowly. Good thing I've got nothing to hide. He stepped closer. The air thickened, heavy and electric. His fingertips brushed the surface of the crystal. In an instant, the world exploded into light. He saw himself, 1,000 versions of himself, spinning through fragments of memory. His ship crashing. his homeworld sky, the faces of people he'd lost. He felt the weight of every decision, every regret, every moment he'd doubted himself. Then the images shifted. He saw Nira, standing alone in a dying forest, eyes filled with sorrow. He saw the Orali kneeling before the loom, offering their energy, their very essence, while the forest swallowed their homes. He saw fear, not of him, but of extinction. The vision collapsed. Kade stumbled back, gasping, falling to one knee. His body trembled. The loom's glow brightened for a brief second, then dimmed again, weaker than before. Nira caught him by the shoulders. "Kade, speak to me." He blinked hard, his vision swimming. "I saw it," he whispered. "The loom isn't dying because it's hungry. It's dying because it's lonely. It's connected to all of you, but you stopped feeling hope. It's feeding on despair." Nira's lips parted in shock. "Despair?" He nodded weakly. "You've been giving it energy without balance. It needs something else. It needs human connection. Emotion that builds, not drains." She stared at him as though seeing him for the first time. "Then maybe you were meant to come here." Kade gave a faint, tired grin. "Or maybe I just crash really well." The ground trembled suddenly, a low rumble echoing from beneath. Dust fell from the nearby structures. The villagers gasped and turned toward the crystal. Its cracks widened, and dark smoke began to spill out. Nira's eyes widened. "The forest stirs," she said. "It senses the loom's weakness." Kade pushed himself to his feet, staring at the spreading fractures of blue light. "Then we're running out of time." Nira turned to him, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "You said the loom needs balance. Then we must find it, together." Kade met her gaze, a spark of determination in his eyes. "Then let's fix your world before it swallows us whole." And somewhere deep inside the crystal, a faint whisper echoed back, a voice neither human nor alien, soft as a dying breath. "Then hurry, children of two stars, before the dark learns your names." The sky had turned a strange color, half blue, half bruised violet. The loom's light pulsed unevenly, casting long, ghostly shadows across the valley. Each pulse seemed to tug at the air, bending it, making the trees sway even when there was no wind. The Orali watched in silence, their glowing eyes reflecting the dying crystal's heartbeat. Kade stood beside Nira on the ridge overlooking the village. His head still ached from the loom's vision. The whispers in his mind hadn't faded, they had grown louder. Words, fragments, emotions, they collided in his thoughts like storm waves. "It's talking to me again," he muttered. Nira turned to him, her silver hair stirring faintly. "What does it say?" He rubbed his temples. "Not words, more like feelings. Fear. Pain. It's afraid." "The loom." "Yeah," Kade said. "Whatever's beneath us, the forest, the planet, the consciousness, it's pushing back. It's alive, Nira. And it's angry." Nira looked toward the dark line of trees at the valley's edge. The bioluminescent glow had dimmed there, replaced by slow, pulsing veins of red. "Then we must move quickly. The forest's hunger grows when the loom falters." They descended into the lower valley, where the air was thick and humid. The earth beneath their feet felt soft and warm, almost too warm. The scent of iron and ash clung to everything. Kade knelt, running his fingers through the soil. It wasn't soil at all. It was something living, a web of fine roots that pulsed faintly, like veins under skin. "It's connected," he said. "The loom, the forest, it's all part of the same system. You cut energy from one, the other reacts." Nira crouched beside him, her expression grim. "We have long suspected as much. But we cannot break the bond without breaking ourselves. The loom is not just a machine, it is our soul." Before Kade could answer, a tremor ran through the ground. The roots began to move, slowly at first, then violently. Vines erupted from the earth like serpents, lashing toward them. One struck a nearby tree, slicing it cleanly in two. "Run!" Nira shouted. They sprinted through the forest as the ground cracked open behind them. The vines hissed and coiled, glowing red where they had once glowed blue. Kade felt the heat rising through his boots, as if the planet itself was trying to burn him alive. A massive vine slammed down in front of him, cutting off his path. He dove to the side, rolling beneath a curtain of hanging moss. Nira called his name, her voice distant and sharp. He looked up and saw her across a wide fissure, the earth splitting between them. "Kade," she shouted. "The forest is trying to pull you in." He reached out as the ground gave way. For a moment, he dangled above a glowing chasm filled with swirling red mist. He caught the edge of a root and pulled himself up, gasping. Nira reached down, grabbed his wrist, and together they climbed to solid ground. When they stopped, both were breathing hard. The valley behind them burned faintly with red light. Smoke rose where the vines had struck the ground. Kade looked back, chest heaving. Your planet has one hell of a temper. Nira gave a humorless laugh. It's not the planet's fault. It's ours. We've fed it too long with fear and pain. It has become what we gave it. He turned toward her. Then maybe it's time we feed it something else. What do you mean? Kade stared at the glowing cracks spreading across the valley floor. Energy transfer. You said it feeds on essence. Right now, that essence is fear. But what if we could redirect it, change what it draws in? Her eyes widened slightly. You mean emotions? He nodded. Hope. Connection. Life. Maybe it's not the power itself. It's the kind of power. Nira looked at him for a long time, her gaze searching. You speak like one who feels what he says. I've been alone long enough to know what emptiness does to a mind, Kade said quietly. Maybe your loom's just lonely. Before Nira could respond, a new sound filled the valley, a deep, rumbling growl that vibrated through the trees. The forest was moving again, but this time not with rage. The vines twisted together, forming shapes, outlines of tall figures made from root and light. Nira took a step back, her voice barely a whisper. The keepers. The what now? They are what's left of our ancestors, she said. Guardians of the forest. They appear only when the balance collapses. The figures turned their faceless heads toward the loom. Their bodies shimmered between blue and red, fighting for color. Then they began to walk, slow, deliberate steps toward the heart of the valley. Nira's voice trembled. If the keepers reach the loom while it's unstable, they'll merge with it. The process will consume everything. Them, the forest, the village. Kade looked from the advancing figures to Nira. Then we stop them. She shook her head. No one can. They are not alive as we understand it. They obey the loom's dying command. Then I'll talk to it, Kade said, already moving toward the valley. You can't, she shouted. It will tear you apart. He glanced back, a crooked smile breaking through the dirt and fear. Maybe, but it already chose me once. Let's see if it still remembers why. He sprinted down the hill, light flashing off his flight jacket as the forest roared around him. The red glow thickened, the ground trembling beneath each step. Above him, the great loom cracked again, a sound like thunder splitting the sky. The keepers turned toward him now, towering beings of light and root, their gaze burning into his soul. Kade didn't slow down. Behind him, Nira's voice echoed through the chaos. Kade, if you fail. He didn't look back. Then at least they'll know humans don't run. And as he reached the base of the loom, the red mist coiled around him like fire, and the crystal's voice spoke once more inside his mind, clearer than ever. You would face my pain, child of stars. Then let me see what burns within you. The red mist thickened as Kade reached the loom's base. It crawled up his arms like smoke alive, burning and freezing all at once. Every instinct screamed for him to turn back, but the whisper in his mind called louder. You seek balance, it said. Then show me what balance means. The ground shuddered. The air split into spirals of light. The loom's pulse flickered, blue, red, blue again. The colors warred like two hearts beating out of rhythm. Kade placed both hands on the crystal's surface. All right, he muttered. Let's finish what we started. The instant he made contact, the world vanished. He was standing inside a storm of memories, fragments of Nira's life, of hundreds of Arali, flashing before his eyes. He saw children playing under glowing trees. He saw laughter, then fear, then darkness. He saw the men of the tribe fleeing into the wild, their forms fading into the mist as the forest devoured them. The loom spoke through the chaos. They gave what they had, and still I hungered. They feared me. They turned their hearts away. Without their warmth, I froze. Without their fear, I faded. Without their love, I became this. You're not dying, Kade said. You're starving on emptiness. They forgot me. Kade clenched his fists. Then remember this. Humans don't abandon the things they care about. We fight for them. The crystal flared, sending a surge of energy through his body. Pain tore through him like lightning. He dropped to one knee, gasping. Every nerve felt like it was on fire. His heartbeat merged with the loom's unstable rhythm. Outside, Nira watched helplessly from the ridge. The forest had gone silent. Even the keepers had stopped moving. All their glowing eyes were fixed on the human who now burned with blue light. "Kade," she cried. "Stop. It's too much." He heard her voice somewhere beyond the pain. He wanted to tell her to run, to save herself, but his mouth wouldn't form the words. The loom was deep inside him now, tearing through his thoughts, searching, questioning. "You would give to me what they cannot," it asked. "What could you offer that I have not already consumed?" Kade gritted his teeth. "Something your people forgot to feed you. Hope." For a moment, everything froze. The storm of light paused midair. The whisper in his head went silent. Then came the first pulse. A wave of bright blue energy surged from Kade's chest into the loom. The crystal screamed, cracks spreading wider, but the light inside shifted, red fading, blue deepening. The keepers roared in answer. They began to dissolve into tendrils of smoke, their essence streaming into the loom. The ground shook as ancient trees split apart, releasing clouds of glowing dust that swirled toward the sky. Kade's strength waned. His knees buckled, his breath came in shallow gasps. He could feel the loom pulling at his very soul, every memory, every heartbeat, every ounce of warmth. Nira ran down the slope, her bare feet cutting through the glowing moss. She reached him just as his body began to flicker, his outline blurring between flesh and light. "No," she shouted, gripping his shoulders. "You'll die." He looked at her through fading eyes. "Maybe, but if I stop now, your world dies too." Tears glimmered on her cheeks, catching the light like crystal shards. "There must be another way." He shook his head weakly. "There's always another way, but this one's mine." Nira pressed her forehead to his, desperation in every breath. "Then let me share it. Let me carry the pain with you." Before he could protest, she placed her hands over his heart. A surge of blinding white light erupted between them. The loom's pulse steadied, one rhythm, shared by two hearts. The red cracks faded to silver. The forest's glow returned, softer now, like dawn spreading over a wounded world. Inside the loom, Kade saw flashes of every soul connected to it, the Arali, the children, even the fallen keepers. All of them bound by light. And through it all, he felt Nira, her essence burning beside his, fierce and unwavering. The loom's voice returned, no longer cold. "So this is what you offer? Unity. Not fear. Not sacrifice." Kade smiled faintly. "Took you long enough to figure it out." The light swelled until everything vanished. When the brightness faded, Nira lay beside him in the soft moss, gasping for air. The valley was still. The loom stood whole again, its surface smooth and radiant, casting calm blue light across the land. The red veins in the trees were gone. The forest breathed slowly, peacefully. Nira turned to Kade, her eyes wide. "You did it," she whispered. He laughed weakly. "We did it. Guess I make a decent battery after all." But Nira didn't laugh. She pressed her hand against his chest and froze. His heartbeat was faint, almost gone. "Kade," she whispered. "Stay with me." His voice was barely audible. "Tell the forest. I kept my promise." Then his eyes closed. The loom glowed brighter for a heartbeat, and a single streak of blue energy flowed from its surface, vanishing into the starry sky. Nira fell to her knees, her tears glowing as they touched the ground. Around her, the Orali began to gather, their faces lit with awe and sorrow. Above them, the loom pulsed with new life. The forest lived again, but the man who saved it was gone. Or so they thought. Far above, where the blue streak met the clouds, something moved. A flicker of light shaped like a human heart, still beating against the darkness. The forest had never been so quiet. The great loom stood tall once more, its light steady, pure, alive. The crimson glow that once poisoned the valley was gone, replaced by soft ribbons of blue drifting lazily through the air like fireflies. But beneath the peace was grief, deep and sharp. Nira knelt before the loom, her hand pressed against its cool surface. Her eyes were rimmed with tears that shimmered faintly in the new light. Around her, the Orali watched in silence, their glowing faces reflecting sorrow and awe. "He gave everything," she whispered, "and the loom took him." An elder stepped forward, a tall, wrinkled woman with pale markings on her forehead. "No, child. The loom did not take him. It accepted him. His energy is within it now, part of the breath that keeps us alive. Nira shook her head. That's not life. That's memory. He was human. He wasn't meant to fade into light. The elder placed a hand on her shoulder. He was meant to save us. And he did. But Nira could not accept that. Not yet. She stood, her jaw set. The others parted as she walked toward the edge of the valley, her silver hair swaying like liquid light. Above, the sky shimmered strangely. Clouds parted where the loom's final surge had touched them, revealing streaks of glowing mist that moved in deliberate patterns, like veins of light across the heavens. Nira raised her eyes, and for a heartbeat, she saw him. Kade, or something shaped like him, stood within the clouds, a faint outline of light and shadow. His body was translucent, but his stance was familiar, shoulders squared, chin raised, that same quiet defiance. Her breath caught. Kade. The shape tilted its head, as if listening. Then the wind carried a faint echo, his voice stretched thin and distant. Still here, didn't burn out after all. The sound struck her like lightning. You're alive, she shouted. Sort of. His laugh was faint, like static between stars. The loom kept a piece of me. Guess it didn't want to let go. Tears welled again, but this time they glowed brighter, not from sorrow, but from hope. Can you come back? The clouds shifted, and the light flickered uncertainly. I don't know. My body's gone. I'm connected now. The loom and I, we're kind of sharing a heartbeat. Then I'll bring you back, she said firmly. There must be a way. Nira. No. Her voice broke, but her resolve did not. You gave your life for us. For me. I won't lose you to the stars. The loom's pulse intensified behind her, as if responding to her determination. The crystal began to hum, low and resonant, shaking the air. Careful, Kade warned. It's stabilizing. Don't push it or... But Nira ignored him. She pressed both palms to the crystal's surface, pouring her own essence into it. Blue light crawled up her arms, wrapping her in radiant energy. The forest stirred again. Leaves rose into the air, floating upward as though gravity had reversed. The villagers shouted in alarm, shielding their faces from the growing storm of light. Kade's form in the sky flickered violently. Nira, stop. You'll burn out your core. I'd rather burn, she cried, than live in a world without you. A massive surge of power erupted from the loom, launching a beam of pure blue energy into the clouds. For a moment, it connected. Kade's shape grew clearer, almost solid. He reached out his hand toward her, and she reached back. Their fingers met through the light. For one perfect second, time froze. The entire valley was silent. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Then, an explosion of light. The force knocked Nira backward. She hit the ground hard, gasping. The loom blazed brighter than ever before, then slowly dimmed to a soft, steady glow. The forest settled. The wind eased. The villagers approached cautiously, fearing the worst. Nira lay still for a moment, eyes closed, her skin faintly illuminated. Then her hand twitched. She opened her eyes and sat up slowly. Someone was kneeling beside her. Not blue, not translucent. Human. Flesh and blood. Kade. He looked exhausted, pale, unsteady, but unmistakably alive. His brown hair was streaked faintly with silver light, and his eyes glowed softly, reflecting the loom's color. Nira stared, stunned. You came back. Kade gave a weak smile. Guess the universe decided to give me a refund. She laughed through her tears and through her arms around him. The crowd of Arali erupted in gasps and cheers. The elder bowed deeply toward the loom. The balance has returned. The human has become part of the harmony. Kade pulled back enough to look at Nira, his voice hoarse but warm. Remind me next time I try to fix an alien power source. Tell me not to touch it with both hands. She smiled, brushing a strand of silver from his face. Next time, I'll make sure you don't crash in the first place. For the first time in living memory, the loom's pulse was calm. The forest sang softly, its light gentle and alive. And above them, the sky shimmered, not red, not blue, but gold. Nira leaned her head on Kade's shoulder. You really are impossible. He chuckled. That's the human condition. And somewhere, deep inside the loom's glowing heart, a voice whispered, ancient, kind, and grateful. Balance restored. Two hearts, one light. The forest remembers. But beyond the peace, Far out on the horizon, something stirred, a faint ripple of silver cutting through the night sky, vanishing into the stars. The loom had awakened, and the universe had felt it. Dawn came softly to the valley, painting the sky in ribbons of silver and rose. The forest breathed again, alive with quiet music, the whisper of leaves, the murmur of distant streams, the hum of the loom's steady heart. Where once there had been chaos and fear, there was peace now, glowing like a living dream. Kade sat near the base of the great crystal, watching sunlight bend through its surface. The patterns it cast danced across his hands like ripples of water. Every so often, the loom pulsed faintly, and each time, he felt a faint warmth spread through his chest, as though their connection still lived deep inside him. "You're quiet this morning," Nirax said gently. He smiled. "Just listening. It's weird. I can hear it breathe." The loom. "Yeah, it's calm now. But I can feel more." He hesitated. "It's reaching outward, beyond this planet, like it's calling to something." Nira's expression softened. "Perhaps it remembers the stars. It was born from them, long before we came to this world." He turned to her, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Born from the stars?" She nodded. "The oldest stories say the loom was a fragment of a dying sun, a seed of light that fell through the void until it found a world to grow upon. It gave life here. And now, through you, it has remembered what it once was." Kade chuckled softly. "So, I taught a god to dream again." "Not a god," she said. "A child of the cosmos. Like you." They walked together through the village. The Orali greeted them with bowed heads and radiant smiles. Some brought gifts, fruits that shimmered like gems, woven cords of living vine that hummed faintly when touched. Wherever they went, the villagers whispered a new word, Kade. "What are they calling me?" Kade asked, raising an eyebrow. Nira's lips curved into a smile. "Kade, it means the bridge between worlds. They believe you've become the link between the loom and the stars." He laughed under his breath. "Bridge between worlds, huh? I'll take that over, crash test pilot." Nira's laughter was like music, soft and melodic. "You truly have changed us, Kade of Earth. The forest hums your name. The air carries your rhythm. Even the loom sings differently now." As they reached the center of the valley, the loom's light shifted. The great crystal began to hum in deep, resonant tones. Everyone fell silent. Then, without warning, the sky above them opened. Not torn, not broken, opened. A curtain of silver light rippled across the heavens, revealing a vast network of glowing threads stretching into the void. Each thread pulsed faintly, connecting stars to one another like veins of a living universe. Kade stared upward, his heart pounding. "That's beautiful." Nira's voice trembled with awe. "It's the web of creation. The loom has awakened its kin." "The loom's not just part of your planet," he said slowly. "It's part of something bigger, like a galactic nervous system." As they watched, one of the glowing threads drifted downward, a ribbon of silver light that touched the tip of the loom. Energy flowed between them, soft and steady. The air filled with the hum of unseen frequencies, and every living being felt it deep inside. Peace, unity, and something far more ancient. Kade's vision blurred. In that instant, he saw flashes, other worlds wrapped in forests of light, other looms standing tall across the galaxy, all stirring awake after millennia of silence. He saw distant stars responding, old, forgotten civilizations flickering back to life. And through it all, one thought echoed in his mind. Humanity is not alone anymore. The connection slowly dimmed, the sky folding back into calm blue. The villagers exhaled as if waking from a dream. Nira turned to Kade, her eyes glistening. "You've done more than save our world," she said softly. "You've reminded the universe how to listen." He met her gaze, his smile small but certain. "Guess that makes us cosmic ambassadors now." She laughed quietly, then took his hand. Ambassadors, perhaps, or simply two souls who refused to surrender. They stood there in silence, watching as the loom shimmered one last time before settling into a tranquil glow. Around them, the forest bloomed brighter, the colors richer than before. Life had returned, not just to the Orali, but to the world itself. Kade looked toward the horizon, where the sun kissed the mountain peaks. "You know," he said, "back home they always said humanity's greatest power wasn't strength or intelligence, It was the will to keep fighting even when the odds looked impossible. Nirax smiled. Then perhaps that is why the loom chose you. Not because you were the strongest, but because you refused to break. He turned to her, eyes warm. And you refused to let me fade. Seems like we both did some saving. They walked together through the glowing fields, hand in hand, while above them, the stars burned just a little brighter, as if watching, as if remembering. And somewhere, far across the galaxy, another crystal heart awakened with a whisper that echoed through the cosmos. Humanity lives, and the universe remembers.